the classic Silicon Valley CEO. I think that for me, I used to believe that meant that I could never really achieve what they achieved, that there were certain parts of the world, certain levels of success, certain levels of business that were just going to be too big for me. It's like, how could I dare say I'm going to run an energy company? Like that I'm going to build wealth for a community. Like, who the hell am I? When I say, I know who I am, I guess the unsaid portion though is like, and then for the things I don't know about myself, I'm open to finding out. And so I think the idea is to think about our lives as a constant research experiment. Who I thought I was and what I thought I wanted when I was 19 is to a certain extent similar, now, but there's also a lot of difference in the nuances and the details of the execution. The first thing that I did was not think too far ahead. So the idea was, instead of imagining from day one, I want to build an energy company, it was more imagining or really envisioning, well, why am I getting up in the morning? Why am I, what's the point of my day? When people would ask me, back when we first started out, creating energy generating sports products, right? So now we're creating infrastructure level energy systems that can harness power from motion, right? So it's like from everything from floor panels to furniture to power lighting systems and Wi-Fi. But where we started was just with a soccer ball. Being Nigerian, pulling from the experiences I had in Nigeria with my cousins. And a lot of people asked me when it first came out, how do you think out of the box? Like, how did you get this idea? How did you make this thing happen? And it was funny because I would say, well, I didn't even know what the parameters of the box were. Like, I didn't know this was a box. Like, I am not a trained engineer. And the unfortunate thing, I think, sometimes about the way engineering is taught, you're kind of pushed to scare yourself away from the bounds of what might be impossible. You are afraid. You are taught to be afraid to be wrong. That I know. And so you will do everything you can to make sure you're right, which is awesome. And you see this amazing work ethic and this amazing precision in the way, engineers will build things. But God forbid they say something that's wrong, and I'm happy being wrong. I'll say something like blah. I'll be like, sky's green. No, it's not. Okay. Good to know. I thought it was green. Moving on. But just in case it is green, hey, the sky's green today. Like, look at that. Look who said the sky was green, So, but that ability, that freedom to just kind of fluidly be comfortable with your thoughts, whether they're right or wrong, because, as long as you're coming from a place of logic. Wanting very much to make sure that little girls who look like me believe that they can do anything, and believe that they can do more than just media and entertainment in particular, and believe in the value of their perspective. And so that's what gets me up in the morning. And then everything else, the details, is like I can push through that day. And what I found is that instead of trying to live a successful life, if you aim to have a successful day, if you have 13 out of the 24 hours of your day, if you won those hours, you won the day. And if you win most of the days in a week, you won the week. We just need a simple majority here. And all of a sudden, look at that. Without even trying, you've been able to kind of get somewhere. I was able to stay who I am by being open to learning about who I am from those who had been working to figure out themselves as well. And I think it takes a certain sense of humility to be willing to listen to those people, but also I think it takes a certain sense of logic, I guess, and just like dynamic thinking to realize that what they're telling you is simply part of your full concept of yourself, not the all, not the total of it. And, it is your life, it is your unique perspective, it is who you are that has brought you here. So anyone who invests in you is going to want you to be who you are. They're going to have to trust that being who you are, even if it's different from who they are, that's going to be the thing that's going to take this to the next level, no matter what. We live in a world that's so complicated that it's not enough to just say, oh, well, one of us succeeded or there's one example. Like, it's going to take so many different things happening to really shift the way we not only learn how to love each other, but learn how to love ourselves. the solution to the world's problems, because I truly believe that given how complex our problems are, there is no one person or company that's going to solve all of them. The only chance that we have is if as many people as possible are engaged and feel empowered to be part of that solution. We all have a core that like is our soul, that is our kind of ethos that we're born with, that's our ethical nature that we get from our families and our friends and like where we grew up, that, you know, ideally and hopefully it's good. And I think that nugget, that's always unchanging, and you have to figure out who that is, what that is inside of you as soon as possible. And I've always been a very reflective person. I've always been someone who will ask myself, every 6 weeks or so, am I happy? And it's a really simple thing. It's just like, it's either, the answers are either yes, or no.
Yeah, so that's being able to take ownership for your mistakes, especially, and say, look, this was my choice, I made it. It keeps you in the driver's seat, which is why I'm so obsessed with it. How do you approach it when it's you on that end and somebody comes to you with a crazy idea? What do you do mentally, internally, to be open to that? Or are you open to that?
So I think the first thing I try to do is just the thing I was mentioning earlier, where like, instead of kind of like what I've been told to be true or what I've read to be true, I first say, okay, well, do I have any personal experiences that I'm just like almost in my gut? It's almost like you have to fight the intangible with the intangible. In my gut, here's why I just like don't believe that makes any sense. And then like, we have a really interesting kind of, I don't want to call it a pastime, but I guess for the sake of not having another word, a pastime in my company where I'm always saying, listen, conflict, fight back. I'm saying this, put together your thoughts logically and come back at me. Like, I want you to convince me that I'm wrong. Like, find the holes in my argument, find the gap in my thinking, and we'll go. I like to go toe to toe. But I think for me, what I personally do, like in general, to be open to these things is like, this is gonna sound really weird, I'm very wary of knowing too much about any one thing.
That is really
like, I'm really, so like I will know enough so that I can execute if I have to, so that I can manage someone in that space, so I can advise that person in that space. But I am very wary of becoming so obsessed about one specific thing that, because when you know too much, it's hard to distinguish between your personal feelings about something and what you've read. You will take what you've learned and it will absorb you and become your way of thinking. It will overly encompass your way of thinking. And there'll be no space for that weird, could the sky be green question, because your mind is full of the facts. So I try to leave enough space where I could just fill it with nonsense, and that nonsense is inspiring to me. Being appreciative and aware of our privilege, so that we can have empathy for others and their experience. We can bridge the gap for them. And then being able to take all of that and own it. Say, this is who I am. This is who I am. Hello, to who you are and to who you are, that's great, but this is who the fuck I am. Take it or leave it. Like, I know that no matter what happens, if I stay who I am, I will feel good about it at the end of the day. Well, the only thing that's going to be constant in this ever-changing world is who I am. I understand what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing it for. I know what I'm fighting for. I understand the steps in terms of what's involved to make sure that I never lose sight of what I'm fighting for. So everything else is just kind of going through the motions that I know to be valuable.